The WWE Universe has spent months watching the Bloodline unravel in real time, and the latest chapter of this saga reached a boiling point outside TD Garden in Boston after the cameras stopped rolling on SmackDown. Solo Sikoa has spent the better part of 2025 and into 2026 positioning himself as the enforcer of a new era, refusing to acknowledge Roman Reigns as the tribal chief. Solo declared himself the head of a restructured faction, bringing in the MFT, My Family Tree, a group built around loyalty to him rather than to Roman. This rebellion split the family down the middle, with Solo actively working to erase Roman's influence from WWE programming altogether. Caught directly in the middle of this power struggle were Jimmy USO and Jey USO, the twin brothers who have spent years navigating shifting loyalties within the Bloodline. Jimmy and Jey have publicly tried to hold the family together, refusing to fully commit to Solo's new order while also staying cautious about Roman's long absence from weekly programming. Their position has been one of conflict avoidance, a family torn between the cousins standing in front of them and the tribal chief who has been noticeably missing. Then came the moment that reset the entire storyline, The Rock's surprise return on SmackDown. The WWE and TKO part owner walked out in front of a live audience and stood shoulder to shoulder with Jimmy and Jey, a visual that immediately signaled his intent to reassert control over the Bloodline narrative. This was not a scheduled appearance fans were expecting, and the reaction inside the arena reflected that shock. The Rock's presence raised an immediate question that dominated post-show discussion: if The Rock is back and standing with the Usos, where has Roman Reigns been? That question didn't stay unanswered for long. According to accounts from the night, after SmackDown went off-air and the arena at TD Garden began emptying out, The Rock was seen walking through the parking lot with Jimmy and Jey. The three were reportedly deep in conversation, discussing what The Rock's return actually meant for the direction of the family and for the show moving forward. The lot had mostly cleared by that point, with production trucks and a handful of remaining vehicles the only signs that a live event had just taken place there. It was during this walk that an SUV pulled into the lot. Headlights cut through the emptying space, and the vehicle came to a stop near where The Rock, Jimmy, and Jey were standing. The door opened, and Roman Reigns stepped out. This was not a diminished or sidelined version of the character. Roman emerged still carrying the weight of his position, recognized within the storyline as the tribal chief and a former WWE Universal Champion and World Heavyweight Champion, titles that have defined his multi-year reign as one of the most dominant runs in modern WWE history. His arrival immediately shifted the tone of the moment. Jimmy and Jey's reaction was described as visibly nervous, unsure of how their cousin would respond to seeing The Rock standing with them. The Rock, by contrast, remained composed, holding a steady stare toward Roman as the two men who have each, at different points, held the label, head of the table, faced each other for the first time since The Rock's return. For a moment, everything hung in uncertainty. The history between these two characters includes complicated familial politics, competing claims to leadership of the Bloodline, and years of storyline tension about who actually controls the family's direction. Given that history, a physical confrontation seemed like the expected outcome. That is not what happened. Instead of conflict, Roman Reigns opened his arms. The Rock hesitated briefly before stepping forward and embracing him. The two men who have each represented the head of the table came together not in opposition, but in acknowledgement of one another. This embrace carried weight beyond a simple greeting between family members. It represented a mutual recognition between the two most powerful figures the Bloodline storyline has produced, coming together in the same moment for the first time since The Rock's SmackDown return. The wider implications of this reunion are significant for how the Bloodline storyline moves forward. With The Rock, Roman Reigns, Jimmy USO, and Jey USO now appearing aligned in the same moment, the storyline effectively presents a unified version of the Bloodline that has not existed since the group's original dominant run. That original iteration of the faction, once built around Roman, the Usos, and enforcers like Solo Sikoa, was widely regarded as one of the most dominant factions in the company's history before it fractured. This reunion raises several open questions that remain unanswered following the parking lot encounter. The first involves Cody Rhodes, who has been positioned as Roman's primary rival since defeating him for the undisputed title. With a reunified and strengthened bloodline now standing behind Roman, Cody's path forward becomes considerably more complicated than it was when Roman stood without The Rock's backing. The second major question centers on Solo Sikoa. Having spent months building his own faction and actively working against Roman's leadership, Solo now finds himself on the outside of a newly reunified core group. Whether Solo attempts to fight his way back into the family, forms a deeper alliance with the MFT against all four men, or pursues an entirely separate path remains unresolved. His reaction to seeing The Rock, Roman, and the Usos aligned again has not yet been addressed in storyline. The third question is one of permanence. It remains unclear whether this alliance represents a lasting reunification of the bloodline or a temporary truce before further conflict. Fans following the storyline have offered two competing theories. One theory holds that this moment signals the formation of a genuinely unified bloodline dynasty, with Rock, Roman, and the Usos working together toward a shared goal, potentially reclaiming full control of the family's championship gold and re-establishing dominance across WWE programming. The competing theory suggests that a collision between Rock and Roman is ultimately inevitable, given that both characters have separately been established as the head of the table, and that this embrace only delays an eventual power struggle between them rather than resolving it. Both theories currently exist as fan speculation rather than confirmed storyline direction, and WWE has not indicated through official programming which path the narrative will take. Looking ahead, several storylines could plausibly emerge from this moment. A reunified bloodline standing behind Roman Reigns would directly affect his rivalry with Cody Rhodes, potentially setting up a scenario where Cody faces not just one opponent but a full faction backing whoever holds the bloodline's championship aspirations. This dynamic could carry significant weight heading toward WrestleMania, an event where major bloodline storylines have played out in each of the past several years. Solo Sikoa's response also represents a significant branch point. Having been effectively cast aside by the reunification, a revenge-driven arc for Solo would align with the character's established motivations throughout 2025, when he consistently positioned himself as willing to go to extreme lengths to hold power within the family. Whether the alliance formed in that TD Garden parking lot proves to be the beginning of a full bloodline reunification or simply a temporary alignment before renewed conflict, the moment itself marked a turning point in a storyline that has dominated WWE programming for years. The embrace between Roman Reigns and The Rock, witnessed by Jimmy and Jey Uso in an emptying arena parking lot, stands as confirmation that both men are, for now, on the same side of a family conflict that has defined multiple championship runs and storyline arcs across recent WWE history.